This episode is brought to you by Odd Moe's Pizza in Canby. Handmade awesome pizza plus craft beer, wine, and cider delivered. Order today at 503-263-8444 or visit them online at oddmoes.com.
This episode is also brought to you by Canby Foursquare Church. Since 1978, a place to grow, connect, and serve. Sunday services on campus and online at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Learn more at canbyfoursquare.com. Welcome to Now Hear This Canby,
your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports.
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal, but they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game!
And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
With an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
Welcome to Now Hear This Canby podcast. I'm Tyler Clausen, and this is what's happening this week in our community. An Oregon City man was arrested this week after he allegedly contacted an undercover detective posing as an underage girl online. Ryan Andrew Chapman, 37 years old, was arrested by Clackamas County Sheriff's Office deputies Thursday afternoon and faces charges of luring a minor and first-degree online sexual corruption of a child. Police say Chapman responded to an undercover officer's online post in which the detective was posing as a 15-year-old girl. The purpose of the detective's undercover post was to identify adults engaging in sexually explicit conversations with minors who then take substantial steps to meet those minors in person for the purpose of sexual contact. Following the online conversation, Chapman allegedly arrived at an agreed-upon meeting location in the Clackamas area, police said, where he was taken into custody by Clackamas County detectives and deputies, along with Milwaukee police officers and detectives. Chapman was taken to Clackamas County Jail, where he is being held without bail. In other local crime news, an Oregon City man was arrested and police took possession of a collection of controlled substances, including fentanyl pills and methamphetamine, after executing a search warrant at an apartment complex this week. David Tornbald, 53 years old, was detained following a drug search warrant at his apartment in Oregon City Terrace on May Street at approximately 8:15 p.m. Wednesday. Officers also seized an unspecific quantity of drugs and body armor. Tornbald was lodged at Clackamas Jail on charges of felon in possession of body armor, second-degree distribution of controlled substances, 2, second-degree trademark counterfeiting, and possession of a controlled substance. Tornbald was charged in May of 2005 with attempted burglary and assault charges, including assaulting a public safety officer, ultimately pleading guilty to lesser felony charges, according to online court records. He was also convicted of felony charges in an unrelated 1997 burglary and assault case. Justice never sleeps, but sometimes it waddles. Case in point, a sheriff's deputy helped save a duck with an injured foot in urban northwest Clackamas County this week. According to a July 31st Facebook post by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office, a woman and her 2 daughters called about an injured duck in the Boardman Wetlands Nature Park off Southeast Addy Street in the Jennings Lodge area. The caller had also called the Dove Lewis Emergency and Specialty Veterinary Animal Hospital, and they told her to bring the duck in if she could catch it, officials said. That's where Deputy Ashley Walker came in for what had to be the strangest caller of her law enforcement career. It was a slow evening on Highway 99E, so I went to help out, Walker explained. The duck had visible injuries to its foot and wing, and Walker suspected foul play. Okay, Frankie, come on. Sure enough, the injured duck was found with other ducks. After catching the wounded water bird, Walker transported it to the veterinary hospital for treatment in a pet carrier provided by the caller and her parents. Walker has a history of taking quick action with lives that are on the line, regardless of whether they have webbed feet. 4 years ago, she was recognized with an award from the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office for improvising a series of field tourniquets that saved the life of an intoxicated man who had seriously cut himself and was at risk of bleeding out. Developed in partnership by North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District and Oak Lodge Water Services, the Boardman Wetlands Nature Park is a relatively new nature park and restored wetlands area located about 10 miles southeast of Portland. Part of the larger Boardman-Renierson watershed complex, the reclaimed 5.8-acre park provides a habitat for a wide variety of native plants, as well as ducks, geese, beaver, and many other aquatic wildlife species. More than 24 local business owners and community members gathered at Biscuits Cafe this week to celebrate the recently completed renovations at the longtime staple in Canby breakfast and lunch dining scene. Owners David and Dana Legidic, manager Dustin Flores, and staff hosted the Canby Area Chamber for breakfast and a ribbon-cutting ceremony Thursday morning as part of the organization's Good Morning Canby event series. Dana Legidic started in the food service industry as a part-time server, joining the team at Biscuits in Gresham in 2010. While there, she helped build the business and double the cafe's sales, eventually being promoted to store manager and later district manager, overseeing several locations of the regional chain. David Legidic began his entrepreneurial endeavors at around the age of 8. Home drying walnuts, filberts, pears, and plums from his family's trees, and going door to door selling 2-pound bags of foodstuffs to friends and neighbors. Eventually, he diversified his delivery service by offering to haul away old newspapers and cans, which added to his bottom line. At 18, David opened his first collectible store and later on moved on to a leadership role with Safeway, Best Buy, and even Pacific Dental Services. When health conditions created new challenges for David, his wife's wish to Biscuits Cafe owners and founders, Ed and Barbara Preston, that she and David could work together came true. They were offered a chance to buy into the franchise, and they began their new adventure. Through the challenges of the pandemic-related shutdowns of 2020 and 2021, the couple managed to stay in business and even purchased additional restaurants. The couple is particularly proud of the Canby store and the presence it has in the community, including leading fundraisers like a recent partnership with Canby Christian Church that helped fund a mission trip to Mexico. They are all awesome, and we feel comfortable inviting the community back in as we pride ourselves on where we are today with our 3 benchmarks: time, service, and quality, David said. Cougar Country Hometown Sports coverage is brought to you by Reif and Hunsaker PC. When you need an attorney, turn to the firm Canby has trusted for over 50 years. Call them today at 503-266-3456. For the latest sports news, follow us on Twitter at Cougar Country and Instagram at Cougar Country Pod. 4 local sluggers and recent Canby High School grads are headed to the Northwest Regional Championship this week after helping capture the Oregon American Legion state title as part of the prestigious Portland Barbers AAA baseball team. The Barbers defeated the favored Emerald Challengers from Eugene in the final state championship game Wednesday, July 26th, by a score of 10-6. Founded by and named in honor of Don and Allison Lovell, owner of the Barbers Barbershop chain, the Barbers have been one of the state's top AAA baseball squads since being established in 2010, but this marks the program's first state title. Their 2023 roster includes the former Cougars pitcher Jason Knopfsinger of Class 2022, twins Hunter and Logan Robinson, who play outfield and shortstop, and catcher Owen Tilden, all of whom graduated earlier this year. The Challengers had swept their way through the tournament en route to Oregon Legion finals, outscoring opponents 33-17, including 13-5 triumph in the semifinals. To win the title, the Challengers would have to defeat the Barbers once. But the Barbers flipped the script in their first tilt earlier Wednesday, trading leads throughout the first 6 innings before shocking a packed Sweetie Johnson Stadium in North Eugene with a 2-run home run by Cameron Masters-Doble, a 2023 Lake Ridge grad, in the 7th to seal the 7-6 win. In the finale, the Barbers jumped out to an insurmountable lead on the strength of a 4-run third inning led by Mountainside grads Eric Altmark, 4 for 7, and Ian Salbita, 3-run double, ultimately clipping Emerald by a score of 10-6. It was the first time this summer that the Challengers had lost back-to-back games. The outcome may have stunned the Challengers and their home crowd fans, but it did not surprise Knopfsinger. We knew that they were a good team, but we also knew that when we had lost to them previously, we had beaten ourselves, he told The Current. As for the 1-0 series hole in which they found themselves to start the series, the Barbers were prepared. We had everything lined up from day one in case this situation arises. So, come championship day, we had all our best arms and bats lined up and ready to go, he said. Everyone knew we were there to send them packing. Knopfsinger said he is particularly thrilled to be sharing the experience with 3 other Canby natives. All 4 have played together for years, growing up through the ranks of club ball and at Canby High School. The twins played a huge role in our success, he said. They really stepped up and got the job done when we needed. Owen struggled a little at the plate, but he has never been better defensively. That played a huge part in beating Eugene, especially limiting their run game, which is how they win most of their games. Knopfsinger was limited to the state tourney with his arm injury, but said that he has been cleared to throw shortened outings as needed when the team represents Oregon at the Northwest Regional Tournament this week in Gillette, Wyoming. If the team makes it to the World Series, which will be held in Shelby, North Carolina the following week, Knopfsinger will be ready. Everyone is super excited and itching to get out there and play again on a bigger stage than we are used to, he said. In other sports news, 2 young swimmers from the Canby Gators Club team are hoping to make a splash on one of their sport's biggest stages this week after qualifying for the prestigious 2023 Western Age Group Zone Championships. Quincy Taliaferro, of age 14, along with her longtime friend Sam Guktosh, age 13, will be representing Oregon Western Zone team against the best swimmers from 12 other states across 4 grueling days of competition. Quincy made the cut with her blistering time in the 800-meter freestyle, which won her first place at the 2023 Oregon Swimming Inc. Long Course Championships in July. She also nabbed 4th in her 200-meter individual medley and 5th in the 100-meter butterfly. Sam earned a second place in the 400-meter freestyle with his time of 4 minutes 37 seconds behind Corvallis' Ty Gunther. He also placed third in the 100-meter backstroke, third in the 200-meter freestyle, and third in the 200-meter backstroke, and fifth in the 400-meter individual medley. Quincy and Sam are very excited, said Lisa Taliaferro, Quincy's mom and board secretary for the Gators. They have been swimming together since they were 6 and 7 years old and are truly the best of friends. The two will be among the fewer than 60 Oregon swimmers between the ages of 11 and 14 who are qualified for the Western Zones meet. Their achievement is believed to be the first in at least a decade for the swim team. This is a huge accomplishment, being picked to represent the state of Oregon and being a part of the all-star team, Taliaferro said. It's a big feat to make the qualifying teams because they are very fast. They're 2 steps up from the state qualifying requirements, so they're in the equivalent of AAA times. The pair of water bugs will be among the first to compete in the sparkling new Greater Aquatic Swim Center in Boise, Idaho, when the championships kick off Wednesday, August 2nd. Turn attack!
Hey, Tyler, what you doing?
My dang Wi-Fi keeps going out, and I'm just trying to move this router somewhere else, get a better signal. It's been years since I set this thing up, and now I forgot how to do it.
Oh, years, huh? How many years are we talking?
I don't know, like 7 or 8 maybe?
Well, no wonder your Wi-Fi stinks. You got a router that's older than my 4th grader stuffed behind a bunch of stuff at the back of your entertainment center.
But this is state-of-the-art router systems, bro.
It might have been when you bought it, but Wi-Fi technology has progressed a lot since then. Think about it. Would you expect an 8-year-old smartphone to be able to do the things that a modern one can?
I don't know. My iPhone 4 seems to do okay. So are you saying to go out and buy a new system? That's going to cost me a fortune.
Not necessarily. You have Direct Link, right? Didn't you hear that they're upgrading their network? All members on Fiber can get a brand new router installed by their techs for free.
What? Seriously? Are you sure that's not some sort of scam?
Nope, it's just their commitment to their members as a local cooperative. Everyone that hasn't already been upgraded this year gets a new Wi-Fi router and access to the new network management mobile app called Omni IQ. You can use it to customize your network settings, use the parental controls to set time limits and content restrictions for kids, create a separate network for guests, and more.
I better get going on that then. So, how do I get started with the process?
Just call the member services team at 503-266-8111 and tell them you'd like to upgrade to Omni. They'll get you scheduled for an appointment, and one of their expert technicians will come out to install the new router at no cost to you.
Okay, 503-266-8111. Hey, hello, directly? I'm ready to upgrade to Omni. Right now.
Wow, that iPhone 4 does work. Okay, so in the Canby Conversation today, we are back out, haven't been here for a few years, to Mount Hope Farms in Molalla with owners and farmers Mike and Laura Ellis. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Good, yeah, and nothing's really happened the past few years, so we were just talking. It's been pretty quiet. We'll tell folks a little bit about you and your farm and all the different things you do. You've been diversifying like crazy since we last talked, yeah.
Yeah, so we were walking around showing Tyler everything, but we are 5th generation Oregon farmers.
Yep.
And we're 3rd generation on the land. So
Yeah.
this is Mike's grandpa's farm
Yeah, he
originally.
bought it back in '62, and before that he was farming in the area and kind of bouncing from one to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you were telling me, like farmers of that day vary one crop, we do one thing and we do it as well as we can. And
At that time it was, he liked grain and he liked clover, and that's what they did, and that's all that they did.
Yeah.
And they did a great job.
And that's all they needed to do.
Yeah. And
that works until it doesn't.
Right.
And
and now we were walking around looking, we do a diversity of crops. So this year we're doing wheat.
Yep.
And
First time doing that, and probably getting Well, we did a little bit of it about 10 years ago, and before that it was 70s or 80s when Dad and Grandpa were doing wheat very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then cover crop seeds.
Yep.
And then Mike and I we grow table grapes, and we sell those to local grocery stores. And we just started growing sunflowers.
Yeah.
This is our first year on that, and so a learning experience, a small little test plot of a few acres of it.
Yeah.
See how that goes. And
It looks nice.
Yeah, it's like really pretty.
It looks
and
really
cheery
pretty. Yeah, it makes you happy
fun.
just to walk through there.
Yeah. And then we still do all of our fruit spreads.
Yeah.
And we used to grow all of the fruits and berries that went into those, and now we source from neighbors and people that we know for a majority of it. But we still grow like the aronia berries.
Yeah.
Haskap berries, some of the apples.
Well, and it's a great way of being able to support neighboring farmers
Right.
too. You know,
and it's an all-season type business.
Yeah.
So like, we can get everything at harvest, and we can keep selling it throughout the year, keep making it throughout the year, and make that work. So it's very, we're very diversified, and this has made it so we're able to tell our story and reach out to people and get to know people. It's all kind of part of a big system that we're putting
and
together.
we just got some news on a couple of awards here just a couple of days ago.
We did. We won a couple of stars at the Great Taste Awards that's judged over in the UK.
Awesome.
For Aronia Haskap.
Which I think you've won before.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've won a star there before, and then we won earlier this year our 11th. I'm looking at Mike because I get my numbers mixed up. 11th Good Food Award.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's been going really well.
Yeah.
So some national and international awards on the fruit spreads.
Yeah, it's been super exciting.
That's always been, even when I was out here before, probably 2019, but always been one of the staples of your guys' spreads, right, is the sort of unique fruits that you grow. Obviously, it's all, either grown by you or neighbors, it's grown locally, but you really look for those kind of unique flavor profiles, and it's a lot of times not something that anyone's ever heard of before, let alone tasted.
It's definitely less common, and we try to do different combinations like the strawberry lavender, Aronia Haskap, heritage apple, things like that, things that go with, it's more of a higher end product, and so we kind of try to pair it with cheese, and that seemed to be very helpful. We work with TMK on occasion, and they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of cheese events, and like in Market of Choice, we're at the cheese counter, and so that's worked super well.
And but it's still approachable for a PB&J or pancakes or toast
like a gift
or
and things like that.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. A lot of the fruits have a bit of a heritage and a history of their own. A lot of times local here to Oregon and going back to the pioneer days and things, right?
Yeah. Well, and like we do a few Marionberry products, and those we don't grow a lot of Marionberries here. When we first started, we grew all of them, but we were doing such small batches, and I would just go to farmers markets and sell them there. Yeah. But we source them from neighbors now, and those are very Oregon. They were developed at Oregon State.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a cross, I hope I get this right, between an Olali berry or a Lala berry and then a Chehalem blackberry.
Yeah.
So it's like
right.
I think that's right. Like a custom cross. And so people always like search for that. And that's those are always our top seller. And then we just did a pre-sale of the Aronia Haskap because I couldn't make it earlier in the spring because of the arm injury.
Yeah.
And couldn't cap the jars and stuff. So we started doing our pre-sale on that, and that's like our most popular product.
Remind me, the Aronia is something sort of akin to a blueberry, or?
It looks a lot like a blueberry, but it's got a much more mealy texture, and it has a bit of an astringent flavor to it, but it brings out flavors in other berries like none other, and it is extremely high in antioxidants. Native to the East Coast and Midwest, and it actually was developed further over in Europe and then exported back in here to the country that it originated from. And the Haskaps are another one that is super high in antioxidants, and that's because of the unique property of it has two berries wrapped inside of one berry. Yeah. There's a layer of skin around each individual berry, and then a layer of skin going around the two of them.
Interesting.
And so it gives it way more of a concentration of the pigments, and that's where you get your antioxidants in. And that berry is native to Japan. And so we've got some stuff that's just unique and less common.
Yeah.
But both of them have extremely high levels of antioxidants and.
Yeah. And the Haskap is one where, we have to go out and like hand pick every berry. We don't have like a machine, and so it takes a lot of time. And then the Aronia berries are over on Mike's parents' place, but we're one of the first growers in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. And those are doing well. It's
the plants thrive out here.
Yeah. They do. It's challenging because people don't know what they are.
Yeah.
And so that's been kind of something that's
if you're expecting a blueberry and try and eat them straight, you're gonna be
in for a
tough surprise there.
Yeah.
The Haskaps though, they have a lot. It's a flavor that's kind of a cross between a blueberry and a raspberry and
rhubarb.
Yeah. And so they have a much more palatable flavor to them.
Yeah. You have good luck in Oregon with the Oregon grape, so most folks know not to necessarily just eat something just because it looks like a blueberry.
Yeah. Yep.
So your grapes, how new is that?
Those have been in. We've put the first vines in the ground just around 10 years ago.
Okay.
And those have been going well ever since. They've had a few ups and downs. The fires gave us a few challenges with it. But overall, they've been a really good fit to the farm and have been a great addition.
Yeah.
We found good markets in the Portland area for them and do the deliveries ourselves. So it goes straight from vineyard to our coolers to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And it cuts the time on that supply chain way down.
Yeah. Well, I want to come back to the fires, but it is a little bit unique in this time and in this area to do table grapes, right? A lot of guys are going into wine.
Yeah, most everybody that plants grapes out here, it's wine grapes.
Yeah.
And you look, it wasn't but 30, 40 years ago that everybody said you can't grow wine grapes out here.
Right.
Well, they can. They've proven they can. Everybody says the same thing on table grapes.
Yeah.
And I think it's possible. But what makes it work is developing the markets on it, taking the time to secure your market, and we're slowly expanding on those as we grow the market.
Yeah.
And that's the key there, is not to oversupply.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's very, like I was telling you out in the vineyard, like it's so, there's so much handwork to it, like hand picking and like being gentle with the clusters and delivering like right away to stores.
Right.
And it's a lot of work.
Yeah. It's just a whole different beast than wine grapes are.
Yeah. You guys think, I think a little bit more about the inputs for the flavor, because you don't get like winemakers on the back end as much time to kind of tinker with your product before it goes to the customer, and a lot more about the presentation, because like you were saying, like wine, it's all going to get crushed anyway. Obviously you want to protect the fruit, but you don't much care what it looks like, whereas you guys care very much what it looks like.
It has to look good for the customer to want to buy it, and it doesn't matter if you have the best flavor in the world.
Right.
If it looks unappealing,
they'll buy it.
How are you going to get them to even try it?
Yeah.
So it has to look appealing.
They've already got it at home, right?
Yeah.
No.
But for us, our focus is on the soil.
Yeah.
On fostering that life in the soil, the microbes in there, cycling our nutrients well, and extracting as much of the terroir as we can in our table grapes.
Yeah.
People always talk about that in wine grapes, but we're still extracting that sense of place.
Yeah.
And feeding it with everything that we have right here, so that we can get as much of that flavor into them, and people can get as much of a taste for what our farm is as we can give them.
Yeah, and awesome. You'll have to come back out and get someone more picky, because it's like, it's so different than what you get from that's being brought up from California.
Yeah.
They're sweet and they're juicy and they've got so much flavor. We don't, gas them or put any chemicals on them to hold them. So they're fresh right out of the vineyard, and it makes a big difference. They're pretty special.
Yeah.
And these varieties that we're working with have been selected for flavor.
Yeah.
We intentionally went to varieties that have superb flavor. That was our have to look good, but we really want them to taste good too.
Yeah.
And we found on our soil, on our farm, with our management, they're responding to it, and we're getting that flavor into them.
Yeah.
And that's really what I care about on that, is getting that flavor into them. And to get feedback of, we've been waiting for your grapes.
Yeah.
We've been watching for when yours are going to come on from the produce buyers and from the markets. That's a huge compliment for us.
Yeah. Grapes, for folks that, aren't as plugged into kind of the agricultural world, maybe like I was before moving out here, you kind of think a grape as a grape in terms of eating it. And it's kind of amazing the world of different textures and juiciness and skin, and how it can be really just an enjoyable experience, even outside of the flavor,
Yeah. And I've got a chance to listen to the professor that worked on breeding these grapes. He was at University of Arkansas and happened to be out here for a field day. And he talked about the industry in California. At the time he was releasing those, they wanted a grape that was fungible. They wanted one that tasted the same across every variety.
Yeah.
Because they wanted their consumer to get used to, this is what a grape is.
Right.
And there not to be any difference, any variation.
Right.
Because that was, their concern was it looks good and that they can ship it anywhere they want across the globe.
Right.
So those were their two concerns. Flavor didn't factor into that.
Yeah.
And so to get a chance to get some varieties that were bred for flavor, it's a really unique opportunity.
Yeah.
And we've always decided, we're local.
Yeah.
And that has made it so everything tastes fresher. And we've even decided that with the fruit spreads too. We're local. It makes it easier in so many aspects.
Yeah.
And they're better.
It opened up some options on varieties too, because if I don't have to worry about shipping them hundreds or thousands of miles, I can work with stuff that's more fragile than most people want to work with.
Right. And the juiciness, right? They just kind of explode in your mouth. It's reminding me, so we have a cider press. We do some apples on our place, and my uncle, or my wife's uncle, at the time, he had some wine grapes. They didn't grow them for wine. They would just eat them. But anyway, we tried those in the cider press, and they just explode. I mean, you had to stand like 20 feet away to be out of the spray zone.
That's awesome.
And we would just touch it lightly, and it would still just explode because it's just so juicy.
Yeah,
but I feel like your kind of standard grocery grape wouldn't do that.
No, it's bred for something completely different. And like I said, not having to worry about shippability for that kind of a duration, or having to worry about sitting in the cooler for months on end.
Yeah.
That lets you have some flexibility to work with some stuff that's different. I will say though, when the grapes are fed right, when they're picked at the right time, they will hold and last longer than anything else you've ever seen.
Sure.
Right. And we deliver them and do all of that ourselves. We don't do a distributor or anything like that. And that kind of just makes it so, it's our hands handling everything and talking with the stores and getting their feedback, whether it be, something we need to improve or normally they are just excited to have us there and to meet, and talk with the farmer that's growing them. It's pretty cool.
It gives you that extra connection there. And if there is any issue, you've got
no
time lag there to get it fixed and corrected.
Right.
And really, there's not been much of any issues. Usually it's pretty glowing feedback on them. So that's
nice.
That's great to be able to get that, because farmers typically don't hear that.
Right.
Usually you're very far removed from the end user, and you take it in, you negotiate on price, usually get told what's wrong with it, so they can kind of work the price down a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't get the kind of feedback often. So that's a nice change of pace.
Right. Yeah. Well, like the wheat that you just harvested, that gets exported. And so it's you never really hear. It looks great to us. Yeah. But you never really hear how good it is when someone turns it into a final product.
Right.
So that's been really fun.
Tyler, did you know that the Australian lyrebird can mimic any sound that it hears, even chainsaws?
No, that's super interesting.
Did you know that a baby puffin is called a puffling? Or that baby sea otters can't swim, so their moms wrap them up in pieces of kelp until they learn how to paddle?
Wait, Do you know any trivia that isn't like animal related?
Not really, but here's some stuff you may not know about the Wild Hare Saloon, where Canby goes to eat and have fun.
Okay.
The Wild Hare is one of Canby's longest running locally owned restaurants. Owners Joan and Darren Moden have been in business for 16 years.
That's cool.
Yeah, heck, you were just a baby back then.
Wait, what?
And they love to give back. They've been members of the Canby Chamber for that long, and they donate over $20,000 to local sports, FFA programs, and civic organizations each year.
Wow, I'm legitimately caught off. That's cool.
Yeah, they also support more than 30 jobs in the community through their award-winning staff, some of them as young as 18. Hey, that's older than you are.
Dude, I'm 10 months younger than you.
With the days getting longer and the weather getting warmer, the Canby Wild Hare's expansive outdoor patio is the place to be. Furry friends welcome.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to go check them out just off of Highway 99E next to the Space Age in Canby at 1656 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City, or on their website at thewildharesaloon.net.
Well, let's just touch on the fires a little bit, because I think, obviously, everyone remembers the fires, what a crazy time that was, and thinks that I think a lot about folks who lost their homes and folks who were kind of in the direct line of fire and maybe don't realize the waves of, the radius surrounding and how it affected farms who maybe, although you guys did have a small fire as part of that here on a few acres, but who just from the impacts of the ash and the smoke lost most or all of a lot of your crops that were ripening during that time. Yeah.
Well, honestly, we were very blessed and protected through the fires. It sounds strange to say we're blessed with those fires, but we were blessed that we didn't have anything more go on than what we had. At the time when those got started, we were trying to get a field of red clover harvested. Mm-hmm. The winds were up at 30 mile an hour and the humidity was in single digits. It was just nasty conditions. And those high winds packed a bunch of chaff in around the moving parts on the combine. And we sparked off a fire in the field that night that the fires got cranked up. We lost around 3 or 4 acres of crop out there, but luckily we had a really good response from the fire crews out here. And we were able to get under control, keep it from spreading off of our farm. And then I spent all the rest of that night going down every couple hours to check and make sure nothing had cranked back up. And
well, because you you always have a water truck out there. That's like part of it. You always have that out in case something happens. So you can
and
get
we
it
were
under
out there
control.
hitting that with the wire truck, but it was just 30 mile an hour winds. You can't stop it with just a little bit there. You need a full crew out there. And we had neighbors around here too that were diving in and helping, and everybody was really great to work with on that. After that, we parked the combine outside because we had to go through and find where the fire had started at, make sure everything was in good repair. It actually tried to crank up and start again on it 2 or 3 days later, but that was after we had evacuated. Luckily, we came back and checked on it and were able to get that put out before it took the machine.
From chaff that was stuck inside it?
Yeah. It was stuck inside, sat there and smoldered, and it cranked up a couple days later and tried to burn again. And after we'd hosed it out, after we'd flushed it with water, and so it was a scary thing.
Yeah.
Really scary conditions for all of that. Like we
I
were
remember
just saying,
those fuels were so dry, like out in Colton and things. I went out like a few weeks after, and they were still, and probably for weeks after that, the crews were still going around in the burned out areas.
Mopping up.
Yeah, for weeks.
Yeah.
And they would still find fires. Yeah, because it was just, it would get buried, and the fuels were so dry that they would just smolder forever. Yeah.
We did end up getting evacuated out of here, but me and my dad came back in daily because we had some chickens out here. There were barn cats out here that needed to be checked on. We needed to check on stuff like that combine that thankfully we caught before we lost a machine. In doing that, we were checking on the grapes, which we were about 1/3 of the way through our harvest at that point when the fires had broke out. Luckily, that third was in the cooler. We locked up the doors on it. It stayed running. We didn't lose power, but we had ash falling like snow out here. And there were days where it was so dark at the middle of the day that our yard lights were popping on. It was just
our
crazy.
Son, do you remember Sam? Our son said, "Are we living on Mars?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's exactly what it looks like."
Yeah.
Because there's this red hue and just red darkness out here. But
I remember that first day waking up, and I had to check the clock 5 or 6 hours. Like, it can't be 9 o'clock. It's still completely dark outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, we got out here, and we had ash falling like snow out here.
Yeah.
Fires were a mile or two away, and a couple of big ones were trying to come together up in the hills above us. We kind of took the water truck and wedged down a perimeter around the buildings to say, at least we have a little bit of a break. We hooked up a disc to our tractor, so if we saw anything coming, we could kind of disc out a fire break to keep the building safe. And we were taking the foliar feeder that we used to put foliar nutrition on the grapes. It has fans on it. We were running it with just the fans, trying to blow the ash off the grape clusters. But by the time the fires got done, we were finding
so much.
sporadic smoke taint in there, where you'd get a grape cluster that'd be fine, it'd taste just fine, then the next one would be bitter.
Yeah.
And luckily,
bitter.
like 2 days before all of it started, we had put, I don't know, a small amount in the cooler.
Yeah. About a third of our crop was in at that point.
Right. And so that was like safe and okay. But, and we could make the choice to go out and pick and work if we needed to. But like, we didn't have any employee. I just can't imagine having hired help out there to work in that. Like, it was us, so we could make the choice.
We had,
it was bad.
Before the smoke taint hit, we had, while it was still smoky out there, us and some really close friends of the family that were out there grabbing everything we could to get into the cooler before it got tainted. But once it started, we had a little light rain, and once that hit, that flavor just went straight into the grapes, and it was done.
Yeah.
And
good for the rain. Like, it was good to have the rain.
Yeah, we needed that to help reduce the risk of fire. But that was it. And we heard from a number of farmers around, cauliflower farmers, that said their stuff was it was rotting in the field. Smoke and ash, it screwed it up, and it was like nothing they'd ever seen before.
Well, and I remember that with the apples too, because it was like right before, and like all of them were just you couldn't use any of them.
Yeah.
And they weren't ripe, when that happened, but like they just weren't right.
Yeah.
So we ended up losing that too. So it was, it's definitely not near as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
We're very lucky, but it was a tough week for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And we were blessed with some really good friends of the family that gave us a place to stay over in Woodburn. That was a little ways away that we could run back and forth and have a spot for our kids to be safe and stay in somewhere.
Yeah, and you mentioned your vendors and stores. Really good to work with you guys as well.
Oh, so good to work with. They were checking in with us just right along, making sure we were okay, making sure everybody was safe, and we were able to resume deliveries once the evacuation notices were out and the smoke had cleared a little bit. And they made a point of pushing our stuff and sold through it in just record time.
And I think that's like the power of like being local, like having the relationships. Is we've seen like when things go wrong or something happens, like if you have a relationship with people, it's such a powerful thing. And that's been like the biggest part of our business and the farm, is just like forming relationships with people and getting to know people and having them get to know us and being transparent. And they knew us when that happened, and so they were very supportive because they cared about us and our family, and so that was a big deal.
Yeah. That's been huge for us, because when you have those relationships, the open communication, and can say, hey, this is what's going on, everybody can walk out of that and work through it together.
Yeah. Awesome. I gather that's been a big part of your guys' success is working with and kind of leaning into that network, obviously, of your families and things, these relationships have been built over a long period of time. But really, in this day and age, a local farm, you really can't be an island and survive, you don't think?
No.
And it's becoming more so that way, too. Like, people have to know.
So much over the years has been just hammered home to me that building those relationships, community, it's what it's really about. And my wife has done an awesome job with building those relationships with retailers and our retail partners. And over the past generations, my family has worked with so many of the other farming neighbors out here. We could, go to Gingrich's, my dad knew their great grandpa, and they farmed together for years. Helped each other out when they needed it. We've rented a berry picker from them at times, and they've had us come in and combine crop for them at different times. Just a good working relationship, and it's those kind of things that really...
Yeah, and we'll even do, like if we're doing like a demo at a grocery store or something, or like a gift show or something like that, I'll have people come through and they kind of see where we live and like our last name, and they're like, oh, I think I knew Gordon, or like, I know Bill, and Mike's dad, and Mike's dad knows everybody. It's so funny. But they have like glowing things to say, luckily, so that makes it really easy. I'm like, oh, that's great, and I can know that that's a good thing. So nice. That's been a lot of fun too.
Oh
yeah, awesome. And I think being flexible as well, like you guys trying new things, trying sunflowers, and just kind of and if it doesn't work, stay.
You don't know unless you try. And so may as well get out there, give it a good shot, and because doing the same thing that you've always done, it's just not gonna work forever. Sooner or later, you got to be able to change.
It's like a mix of like changing and like it's like a weird mix of changing and like staying with tradition. You know, and like making those work together.
Balance.
And what leads you on those? Do you kind of look at the market? Do you look at where there's needs, or do you kind of like think, what do I want to do this year or whatever?
Honestly,
or is it a mix of everything?
We spend a fair amount of time in prayer about it, and we'll have things that come up that just keep on coming up in front of us. And usually that's a pretty good sign. Hey, we need to be looking at that. The grapes were something that Dad had said to us when we first came back here, and he said, I've always had a few grapes out here. They've always done really well. We've got a south-facing slope out here. It looks like a good spot for them, and it came up two or three or four times, and let's give this a try. The sunflowers, honestly, the stuff going on in Ukraine was one of the things that brought it back to the front of our mind, because that's one of the top sunflower-producing countries in the world. And all of the turmoil they've had,
and we'd always
wanted it to light.
And we'd always wanted to do flowers. Mike's great grandparents grew Oregon giant pansies out in Canby.
I think you've told me about those. And
so we tried when we came back to kind of restart those again. We're like, this is really cool. This would be like carrying on a tradition. We couldn't get any of those to work.
And so had some seeds saved, but they'd been saved incorrectly, unfortunately, and they'd lost their germ. They wouldn't sprout. And so it was just
it just wasn't lost for us, and it wouldn't work. And so I think this is going to work. So it's just, we always are willing to take a risk as long as we've weighed it out, and we have to be careful because it's not just us, but it's like the future generation, and then it's his parents, that are, because we're all doing this together.
I still farm with Dad and Mom, and it's a family operation. We have our own separate farms, but we also farm together, and they really do impact each other. So if I go out on a limb on some crazy idea, they've got to be on board with it to a certain degree before we can go forward, because
emus now.
Because it's it's jeopardizing thing. Any change, it is risk. But staying the same, there's risk there too.
So we just try to be super thoughtful and talk with them and be really transparent with them as well. And they've been really supportive. And if they've had input, they let us know kindly. And we just
everything we've been doing, everybody's been on board with. It's not something that anybody's had really been dragging their feet. I don't know about this. So that's a rare treat, because a lot of times in family farms that are multi-generational, you can have some issues, some difficult dynamics with change and the next generation taking more of a leadership role, which we have not had to have anywhere near the kind of issues.
People have been really gracious about it, and and then we think about like our boys, if they want to do this, like what what's going to be good for them if they choose, and then like nieces and nephews if they want to be involved, like what's going to be good for them. And luckily, you know, nieces and nephews have come out and helped and been part of it. And so it's a family operation, and we all get along really well. So that's key.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys have a great website, I think, where you can get, you can order your spreads and things straight from the website.
Yes.
Yeah. And other products, or mainly that right now?
Soon to be. We do, like, during the holidays,
Yeah.
like, we'll do gift boxes where we'll bring in, you know, like, I've got Josie's best mix, you know, pancake mixes, and we'll do, like, breakfast boxes and, like, ground up PDX, you know, nut butters and stuff like that. So we'll do gift boxes, and then we sell our fruit spread, and then eventually we'll do other things as they come up, and you know,
wish we could sell the grapes that way too.
I wish.
But
well, we have though. We did the juice grapes last year.
Okay.
And we had people come out and just pick them up, and that worked really
I was gonna say, I thought I remembered that for a bit, but that was
And we might open that up. We'll see how things go. We might open that up with the rest of the grapes this year. We're not really sure.
Yeah.
We'll just see
We're
how it
still
goes.
balancing out where production's at and how many retailers we have on, and because we don't want to shortchange anybody,
right? Because they've invested in us, so we don't want to. We want to make sure we treat them well.
Yeah.
But our goal is to expand enough that we can have the community out for a U-pick or a pickup day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into the future.
Very
Just
cool.
takes some time to get vines up and going.
Yeah. And that's MountHopeFarm.com. Farms?
It's www.MountHopeFarmsOregon.com. And if you search for it on Google, sometimes it's funny about coming up in the address bar. So search it on Google and you'll find us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for throwing me around again and taking so much time. And check out Mountain Home Farms on social media and on their website.
Hey, I'm AJ. I'm your local Oddmos franchise owner.
I'm Mike, co-founder of Oddmos.
And we're the hosts of The Odd Pod, a podcast about
life in the pizza industry. We're going to have on some franchisees. We're going to have some different vendors on. We're going to get a snapshot of what goes on behind the scenes in the pizza world.
Don't forget to tell them about the sports.
There's sports.
And the crazy wacky pizza that we have every Wednesday that we create. And we also have a special guest every week as well.
And I'm Gage, Odd Pod's senior sports analyst.
Gage, who gave you that title?
Me.
Oh boy. Find us on Spotify and Apple Music and the Podbean.
Now Hear This Canby is produced by me, Tyler Clausen. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. And of course, our show is edited by Cameron Clausen. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden. So a round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Canby by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. To find more work from her, you can visit her website, olivia13.com.
Now Hear This Canby is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned, full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.